Pivotal and positive moments from last night took place at New Shiloh Baptist Church, and immediately afterwards, 11 News reporter Deborah Weiner was right in the middle of it at New Shiloh and the march that left there and went to the most volatile areas of last night. She has one of the guests who was there last night. Deborah.
Yes, Stan, I'm joined by Reverend Errol Gilliard, who is a noted theologian and is pastor of the Greater Harvest Baptist Church in West Baltimore and also president of the Baptist Ministers Conference of Baltimore and vicinity. So, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good.
You are feeling pretty good.
Well.
Are you feeling hopeful?
Very much so. I'm very hopeful. I'm believing that the people of Baltimore are bigger than this problem, and we'll rebound from it. I'm believing that with the presence of clergy and church, continue to reach the community, continue to stay prayerful, things will turn out well. I'm trusting that justice and peace will come. I'm hoping and believing that even if certain aspects of the investigation come out not favorable that we're looking for, I still believe that justice will prevail.
Let me ask you, it was so clear last night, the power of the clergy, for sure.
Yes.
And that's an understatement, really. But the manner in which the clergy was able to really bring things to a positive standstill last night in the middle of it all. So obviously, I'm sure you must feel at this point a greater sense of responsibility to continue to heal the city.
Yes, and what you saw last night was a demonstration of respect, because most of those pastors that were in the march, they are constantly a presence in their communities. And one of the myths is that the church or the preachers are not connected.
Oh, yeah.
There's no real disconnect. Last night demonstrated that, as we had members of the gangs, some of the gangs, to come in.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, you had what essentially has been warring factions in the city come together, bring themselves to New Shiloh Baptist Church and say, what can we do? I mean, it was unheard of.
Yes. Even during the march, they joined us in the march, so somewhat speak, and their coming in the march was to, actually, they felt like they was protecting us from anything that you call jumping off. And when Bishop Thomas, who's the pastor of New Psalmist, went over to the truck where they all were and invited them in, they gladly responded, and they came in. The first group came in, and later on in the meeting, more began to come in, and we allowed them to talk. And basically, they want to be heard, they want to be listened to. They need support and love like anybody else, and it was a very powerful and fruitful experience.
I want to ask you something, because I had a number of people say to me last night, the media needs to do A, B, and C. So I heard it a lot, and that was one of the reasons that we tried to give a voice to a number of people last night. From your perspective, sitting here, given the glare of attention Baltimore has had in the last hours, what does the media need to do today that can contribute to the healing of the city?
I would say the media is a very powerful tool, very much so. I believe if we report more positive things that are happening in the inner city. All of our youth are not in violence and gangs. We have some very, very successful youth who are really working hard with their education. And even those that who society like to give those titles, thugs, that kind of thing, I don't refer to them that, the church doesn't refer to them that. They're people. They're persons who need help. And under all that skin is a soul. And basically the cry is for love. And as the church, our message is redemptive, that there are no throwaways. Everybody's important.
So we need to humanize more than we have. There is a level of culpability on the part of the media.
Right, because sometimes it seems like you're demonizing.
Well,
or lift the demonizing element.
I hear you,
right.
and I think systemically, when you consider how often we have shown Public Enemy #1 on television, and Public Enemy #1 has always been, in this city, it's been a young African-American male, and that has been the image that we have shown on TV. So surely that has had to contribute to some of the anger and the sense of being misunderstood.
Yeah, because again, you're only reporting from that perspective. We don't report the economic problems, disparities in the community. The fact that many of them do come from single-parent homes, all right, but nevertheless, that's not the whole story, because we do have support mechanisms in the community, as the church and other organizations. When they get, or the public gets the story, naturally they don't get the whole story, the background, and then again we only see one side of one group, really small group, and no one asks the question, why?
Right.
Why is this? All right, we just look at the what, the present, but nobody asks why. Yeah.
Well, why still has to be answered when it comes to the Freddie Gray investigation. So I want to ask you what your concerns are. We've heard so much about May 1st, that May 1st, that there will be there's an anticipation that will be some epiphany of truth when it comes to May 1st. Are you concerned, and you laugh,
Yeah.
right? You laugh because you don't expect an epiphany of truth? You don't expect some details, or...
Well,
Tell me what
if I committed a crime tonight, would I get 10 days to get my story together before I'm arrested? Would I? No, I would not. 10 days, 1 day is too long. Based on what has happened, what we've seen, videos, pictures, we know that Freddie Gray did not stumble and fall to create his injuries. Something transpired to precipitate that. And we know that from past experiences or past events that Baltimore City Police and across the nation, but I can only speak about Baltimore City Police, has a track record, and especially as it relates in the black community, with how they handle cases. If it's not through intimidation, if it's not through some cover-up, if it's not through planting evidence, you can't hope that, well, you can't hope too much. You can't, from a system that is constantly proving itself to be against you more so than for you.
So are you saying you don't have a lot of hope in the way this investigation is going to turn out?
No, I won't say hope. I don't have a lot of trust in the system, in the department investigating itself and doing its own investigation.
But the Department of Justice?
I believe that they can only investigate what they're given. And again, I think somehow with all of with the Department of Justice and with the independent investigation that have been going on, truth will rise up out of it. But I don't think it's coming out of the Baltimore City Police Department.
Oh.
If they were left, if it was left with them, I don't think so.
Well, I appreciate you talking to us at length here tonight, and I hope we can connect again. Your perspective is so important. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to send it back to you guys.